So, why do we get stuck? You know the feeling. We're going to break down the psychology behind taking that first really tough step. We've all been there, but, figuring out the why is actually the secret to moving forward. Let's get into it. You ever have that feeling you're standing at a crossroads? You're looking at this huge project or a massive life decision, and you freeze. You know exactly what you're supposed to do, but you literally can't make yourself start. Well, it turns out that feeling that stuckness, it's not about being lazy and it's not about not having enough time. No, the real reason is an actual battle that's happening right inside your own head. So let's start with something we all know way too well, the paralysis of choice. I'm talking about that totally overwhelming feeling you get when you have too many options or maybe just one really, really big one. This quote from psychologist Timothy Pychyl, it just flips the whole idea of procrastination on its head. He says we delay things to avoid uncomfortable feelings. So it's not a time management problem, it's an emotion regulation problem. We're literally trying to run away from the fear of failure, or the anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen, or that little voice that says we're not good enough. And that brings us to a really big question. Who's actually in the driver's seat of your life? Is it you? Or is it something else? The answer is hiding in a really important psychological concept. And that concept is called locus of control. It was developed by a psychologist named Julian B. Rotter way back in 1954, and it's all about one simple idea: how much you believe you have control over what happens in your own life. And this breaks it down perfectly. You've got two ends of a spectrum. If you have an internal locus of control, you believe my actions determine my fate. You feel like you're the captain of your own ship, right? But on the other end, if you have an external locus of control, you feel like my fate is determined by outside forces, luck, other people, the universe. And of course, it's not a simple on-off switch. We all land somewhere in the middle. And where you are on that spectrum has huge real-world consequences. I mean, look at this. People with a more internal locus, they tend to be healthier, they achieve more at work, they have lower stress. On the flip side, an external locus is often connected to health problems you could have avoided, feeling powerless in your job, and higher rates of anxiety. The takeaway here, this belief system really, really matters. But it actually goes even deeper than that. It's not just about who you think is in charge. We have to look at what's actually powering the entire system, your belief engine. Think about it. You can believe you're in the driver's seat, but if you don't believe you actually know how to drive the car, you're still not going anywhere, right? This is all about your deep down belief in your own ability to actually do the thing. The legendary psychologist Albert Bandura broke this down beautifully. He pointed out two totally different beliefs we have. First, there's the efficacy expectation. That's the question, can I do it? But then there's the outcome expectation, which is, okay, if I do it, will it even work? You see? You might believe you can run the race, but not believe you'll actually win the prize. That gap, that's where we get stuck. So how do we build up that belief in ourselves, that self-efficacy? Well, Bandura gave us a roadmap with 4 keys. First up, mastery. Just succeeding at something, even something small, builds your confidence. Then you've got vicarious experience. This is when you see someone else who's like you succeed, and you think, hey, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Third is verbal persuasion. That powerful encouragement from somebody you really trust. And finally, your emotional state. I mean, how you feel physically and emotionally can make or break your belief in yourself on any given day. Okay, that's enough theory for now. Let's get practical. It's time to open up your anti-procrastination toolkit. We've all heard this a million times, right? At the end of the day, to get unstuck, you ultimately have to, just do it. Yeah, exactly. But how? How do you do the just doing it part when every cell in your body is screaming no? All right, here are 3 super simple but incredibly powerful techniques. First, the 5-minute rule. Just tell yourself you're going to do the thing for 5 minutes. That's it. Anyone can do 5 minutes. It tricks your brain past the hardest part, which is just starting. Second, worst first. You know that one task you're dreading? Do it first. Get it over with. The rest of your day will feel like a vacation. And third, plan rewards. This is key. Decide before you start what awesome, guilt-free thing you're going to do after you're done. This isn't slacking off. It's a well-earned prize. And what all this does is it completely flips the script on motivation. We think we need to feel motivated before we act. It's the other way around. Action creates momentum. And that momentum is what creates motivation. You have to start the car yourself. It doesn't start on its own. And that brings us to the final level. Because, let's be honest, the tools you use to finish a report aren't the same ones you use for life's biggest choices. It's time to face the final boss, choosing your future self. The 5-minute rule is awesome for doing your taxes, sure. But what about those choices where you truly cannot know the outcome? The decisions that will change the very person that you are? The philosopher L.A. Paul came up with this amazing analogy for this. She calls it the vampire problem. Think about it. You can't know what it's like to be a vampire until you actually become one. But by then, your tastes, your values, your entire identity has changed, and you can't go back. So how do you possibly make a rational choice about that? And this isn't just some fun thought experiment. This applies to the biggest decisions we face. Having a child, converting to a new faith, a radical career change. All of these are versions of the vampire problem. You just can't know what it's truly like on the other side until you're already there. So for these massive, life-altering decisions, we need a whole new framework. You're not just picking an outcome you think you'll like based on who you are today. You're choosing the person you want to become. You're making a choice based on revelation, on the desire to discover a new self, not just to please the old one. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, the one that's really at the heart of every huge decision we will ever face. How do you choose to become someone you can't possibly know yet?